Under the dark pressure of the Atlantic, where light gradually fades and pressure can crush steel, something enormous moves in silence. It does not roar or shine, but merely hums. It is a machine weighing 8 million kilograms, the embodiment of engineering perfection. Her form is not made to be seen, nor to be heard, but to rule the invisible world of the ocean. This is the USS Virginia, the first submarine of its class, a silent hunter that redefined modern underwater warfare. Virginia-class submarines are the most modern fast attack vessels of the U.S. Navy. 115 meters long and 10 meters wide, they are longer than a skyscraper lying on its side. Each vessel, submerged, displaces nearly 7,800 tons of seawater while moving with the quiet grace of a shadow. She dives to a depth of over 240 meters, reaching speeds of more than 25 knots, capable of launching a storm of torpedoes and cruise missiles that can destroy entire fleets. Some submarines hunt, others act as a deterrent. The Virginia-class does both, and does so unnoticed. Her story begins in the post-war period of the Cold War. The 1990s left the U.S. Navy with a choice. The Soviet threat was disappearing, defense budgets were being cut, and the Seawolf class, a masterpiece of engineering, proved too expensive to operate. With a cost of $3 billion per unit, only 3 Seawolf submarines were built. The Navy needed a new predatory machine, something lighter, smarter, and still deadly. Thus Virginia was born, the future of underwater warfare. Creating such a machine required rethinking. The first Virginia-class submarines cost around $2.8 billion each. New expanded variants exceeded $4 billion, but the real innovation lay in how they were built. For the first time, 2 shipbuilding yards, Electric Boat in Groton, Connecticut, and Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia, worked as a single unit, constructing massive sections of each submarine separately, swapping them like puzzle pieces and joining them with surgical precision. It was not only efficient, but also supported 2 industrial bases, 2 workforces in shape, and doubled production rates. 2 submarines, a year, every year. This system, which originated with Virginia, still defines submarine construction in America. USS Virginia was built quickly. The contract was signed in 1998, the keel was laid a year later, and by 2003, it was already gliding into the Atlantic. Its sponsor was Lyndon Johnson Robb, daughter of President Lyndon Johnson, who also blessed the boat. On October the 23rd, 2004, she was commissioned into the U.S. Navy. What made her historic was not only her equipment, but also how she was designed. Virginia became the first American submarine entirely designed using digital 3D models. Every pipeline, every cable, every valve was engineered on a computer before the first piece of metal was cut. This digital precision subsequently allowed for seamless upgrades over decades, but its most significant revolution lay in weaponry. It was her eye. Old submarines used periscopes, long metal tubes extending from the control room through the hull. The crew's view was narrow, limited, and depended on where the periscope broke the ocean's surface. Virginia rejected this idea. Instead, it is equipped with photonic masts, retractable cameras fitted with high-quality daylight sensors, infrared imaging, and laser rangefinders. These devices transmit an image across a 360-degree surface to the control room, where sailors see it on wall-sized screens. It's like moving from a narrow view through a straw to an IMAX screen. Since the control room no longer needs to be directly under the periscope, the engineers moved it to the lower, wider deck, freeing up more space and improving the overall layout. In the heart of Virginia lies the S9G nuclear reactor, designed to operate without reloading for its entire 30-year lifespan, powering steam turbines that rotate a pump jet system instead of a propeller, resulting in absolute silence. Fewer cavitation bubbles, less vibration, virtually zero acoustic visibility for the submarine. Silence is not just stealth, it's survival. Its power matches its stealth. Virginia is armed with 4 21-inch torpedo tubes, each ready to launch Mark 48 torpedoes. These wire-guided killers are designed to hunt submarines and destroy surface ships. They're constantly modernizing through software, evolving without hardware replacement, becoming living weapons that learn. But torpedoes are only half the story. Virginia was designed for versatility. The first boat of this class carries 12 vertical launch systems in the bow, each loaded with Tomahawk cruise missiles. These long-range precision weapons can travel a distance of 1,000 miles and strike a single building through a window. Later, Virginia-class submarines replaced 12 installations with 2 large launch tubes, each capable of holding 6 missiles. but the original Virginia proved that the concept works flawlessly. Her hull is wrapped in soundproofing plates, and the internal mechanisms are placed on insulating supports to prevent vibrations from penetrating into the sea. Early Virginias are equipped with massive spherical sonars at the bow. Later, the models were replaced with a large aperture nose array, a horseshoe-shaped sensor that is cheaper, sharper, and easier to maintain. The idea of continuous modular upgrades, adding new systems every few years instead of completely overhauling submarines, was first realized in Virginia, turning its class into a living, evolving fleet. However, its most secret mission is not reflected on any poster. Virginia also serves as a ghost taxi. Its torpedo bay can transform into spaces for a SEAL team. A large exit chamber allows them to leave the boat and return underwater without surfacing. She can even launch unmanned underwater vehicles through her tubes for reconnaissance or electronic operations. In 2008, during tests, she fired 3 Tomahawk missiles in one launch, 2 from vertical launchers and 1 from a torpedo tube. The trial went quietly and normally, but it proved that she could do what no submarine had done so gracefully before: strike from a distance, hide nearby, and completely disappear. Life aboard the submarine is cramped but efficient. About 130 sailors live and work in a machine that combines a nuclear reactor, a weapons manufacturing plant, and a laboratory for developing stealth technologies. Compared to earlier submarines, the Virginia seems almost spacious. Each division spends 6 months at sea and 6 months on land. When the boat returns from its mission, it is not greeted by crowds and loud brass bands, only quiet applause on the pier, and the realization that for 6 months, one of America's most powerful machines has moved through the ocean depths, leaving no trace. However, the story of the Virginia does not begin with her launching. To understand her DNA, one must go back half a century, to the Cold War era, to the name that became a legend: USS Los Angeles. This submarine never slept. 362 feet long and 33 feet wide, it was a nuclear predator designed to hunt Soviet submarines. Underwater, it displaced nearly 6,900 tons, yet moved through the Pacific Ocean like a whisper. The Navy officially acknowledged that it could reach speeds of over 25 knots and dive to depths of more than 650 feet. Unofficially, everyone knew these figures were understated. The real numbers remained secret and were likely much higher. For outsiders, Los Angeles was a rumor made of steel. It was conceived in the early 70s when the tensions of the Cold War pushed engineers to their limits. The keel was laid in 1972 in Newport News. The boat was launched in 1974 and put into service in 1976. At that time, it was a technological marvel, costing around $900 million, equivalent to almost $2 billion today. A few months after being commissioned, she hosted President Jimmy Carter and Admiral Hyman Rickover, the father of the nuclear fleet, symbolizing America's new underwater empire. Her S-6G reactor turned pressurized water into steam, steam into turbine energy, and turbine energy into limitless range. Unlike diesel submarines, the Los Angeles never needed to surface for refueling. She could stay at sea for months, disappearing beyond the enemy's reach and appearing where she was least expected. The Endurance rewrote the rules of underwater warfare. Her weapon was simple yet deadly: 4 torpedo tubes with a diameter of 21 inches, armed with Mark 48 torpedoes. Later variants were equipped with cruise missiles launched from new vertical silos, making her both a hunter and a sniper for land attacks. By the mid-1980s, Los Angeles-class submarines formed the backbone of the U.S. submarine fleet. 62 submarines were built over 25 years in 3 different generations. The early models featured a distinctive spherical bow with sonar and 4 torpedo tubes. The second batch introduced vertical shafts for launch. The latest version, known as the boat's 688, was quieter, sturdier, and capable of operating under Arctic ice. Each new generation added new brains and new strengths, while retaining the spirit of original design, a philosophy that the Virginia class later perfected. Life aboard the Los Angeles was full of discipline. No digital screens, no touch panels, only periscopes, analog gauges, and teamwork. The fire control team operated in silence. The sonar operators worked hard to separate enemy signals from the ocean's noise. Navigators determined their location only using maps and mathematics. It was a cramped, hot space where every decision had to be made with utmost precision, a pressure cooker where mistakes were unacceptable. Its missions mostly remained classified. But from the Mediterranean Sea to the Pacific Ocean, the submarine Los Angeles patrolled the world's deepest strategic routes, monitoring Soviet submarines, gathering intelligence, and establishing a silent supremacy that lasted for decades. The sailors called it a machine for travel. But the truth was much more alarming. It was a ghost that proved America had no borders. The Los Angeles class also broke tradition. For 100 years, American submarines were named after fish. Now they bore the names of cities: Los Angeles, Boston, Dallas, Miami, linking each boat to its residence and turning naval construction into national pride. By the year 2010, the original submarine USS Los Angeles had served for over 3 decades. She was the oldest attacking submarine in the Pacific Fleet and a keeper of a military relic, a curved game board passed down from generation to generation of submariners. When the Los Angeles was finally decommissioned in 2011 at Pearl Harbor, it passed the board to its successor, linking the line that defined modern submarine warfare. Her steel was cut and replaced, her nuclear reactor removed, her name forever entered into history. But the class she created continues to live. Dozens of Los Angeles-class submarines still silently dive beneath the waves off the shores of Nootka, San Diego, Pearl Harbor, and Guam. Each of them reminds that beneath the surface of the world's oceans, power is not loud but silent. From this silence was born the class Virginia, a new kind of predator, smarter than the Los Angeles, quieter than the Seawolf, and created for a world where the enemy is heard long before they are seen. Because in the darkness of the ocean, what cannot be heard becomes deadly.